Hey guys, it's Kevin Esmer for Awkward, Season 5, Episode 5, The Dis-Engagement Dinner, and I was really looking forward to this episode, especially after last week's episode, which was amazing, one of the best episodes Awkward has ever done, and this episode I thought was great. I really love this episode. So much happened in this episode. I mean, this was a pretty jam-packed episode, and it seems like it's the beginning of a two-parter because next week continues the same story and takes place in the same night as this episode did. And I thought this was a really great episode overall. Some really big stuff happened this episode, and definitely one of the best of the season. And definitely could potentially be the game-changing episode of this season, definitely, especially if we're going in the direction I think we're going in. Now, let's get to this episode. There's a lot to talk about. It mainly focused on Tamara and Adam's wedding. That, obviously, it's very crazy. You know, the entire season, it's been very crazy. It seemed like Tamara has been wanting to break up with Adam, but she's been going through with this wedding and even said yes to an actual proposal from him last week. And, you know, Jenna's asking her, when are you going to break up with him? And Tamara literally has a calendar of every day she was going to break up with him and has specific reason for each day. And I kind of took it as, you know, the reasons she's giving are pretty shallow reasons. Like, one of the reasons is because he was working out in front of her and things like that. To me, it got, just like I said last week, it seems like I think Tamara only really wants to be with Adam because she knows that that's kind of the only direction her life is headed at this point, because she really has no direction. And again, while I don't think Tamara is thinking about this, I think deep down that really is why she's doing this, and it definitely is very interesting. So, Jenna is telling Tamara that she needs to break it off, and she needs to tell him that she doesn't want to be with him, because obviously she doesn't really want to get married, but yet she's making it seem like to him that she wants to get married, and if she doesn't want to break his heart, which she probably would anyway, you know, she probably would break his heart, you know, she needs to break up with him. And Tamara basically tells Jenna that that's going to happen after the engagement party that they're having. They're having an engagement party, and Jenna's the host of it. It's at her house, and obviously this is totally something Tamara would do, you know, pre-planned stuff without consulting Jenna. That's totally something Tamara would do. That's nothing new. Tamara always pre-plans stuff without Jenna. That's always something Tamara's done. So, basically, you know, it's pretty funny because Jenna's obviously telling her, what are you doing? This is a really bad idea. And Tamara's saying how, you know, it's at her house and that she needs to get things ready and that she plans on breaking up with Adam, you know, calling off the engagement with Adam after the engagement party. That's what she plans on doing. So, that I thought was definitely very interesting that we saw that. And then we see Jake and Gabby, who are officially together. Okay, I gotta say, my real complaint of this episode was Gabby. I was not a fan of Gabby at all in this episode, really. I really wasn't. And me personally, they've really rushed this Jake and Gabby storyline because 2 episodes ago, it seemed like Gabby liked Jake but didn't want to be with him because she knew what he did was wrong. And it didn't really seem like she wanted to be with him, but now all of a sudden she is with him. Okay, it's kind of came out of nowhere, but okay. I like the storyline that we've gone to, but it just seems like this was kind of rushed. And I can understand that they only have 10 more episodes till the end of senior year, but you could have stretched this out at least 2 or 3 episodes. Like, if they could have shown something last week. I understand last week it was a pretty jam-packed episode, and this week was pretty jam-packed as well, and you couldn't really tell the story you wanted to if they weren't together, but I don't know, I don't think it would have made that much of a difference, basically. I think it would make sort of a difference, but not as much of a difference. We basically see that Jake is at an award ceremony, basically for the scholarship award, because as we know, he didn't get in that college he wanted, and he really wants to get the scholarship, but unfortunately, it actually ends up going to Matty, which Jake, of course, is really pissed about, and I really felt bad for Jake. I have to say, I mean, while Jake has fucked up, that's really sad. I mean, especially when you want to get into a college and it doesn't work out for you. I've seen that happen to people in my school. It's very sad when that doesn't happen. And Jake definitely is another character that doesn't really seem to have a lot of direction. He wants to go to this school, but if he isn't getting scholarships, then obviously his life isn't going to have much direction, and that's not going to end well for him at all. So I really felt bad from this episode, I have to say. So Sadie gets invited to the engagement party. She plans on bringing Sergio, and Sergio tells her, you know, to be on her best behavior and things like that, that he's proud of her and everything. And it was nice to see Sergio back. I would have wanted a little bit more of Darlene's storyline. I know some people aren't liking what they're doing with Sadie and Darlene, but I personally really do like it. But we didn't see that. We did see Sergio, though, which was always great to see. So Tamara and Jenna basically they go to the party, they plan on planning out the party, and things are just crazy. Jenna's trying to plan out what to do, and Tamara obviously is going crazy because this is her party. Obviously, that's wedding planning is the thing she was looking forward to doing the most, and pretty much what she ends up doing here is she's freaking out. And the first three to arrive are Matty, Sadie, and Sergio. Sadie and Sergio, obviously, Sergio was Sadie's +1, but Sadie felt bad for Matty. It does show the care that Sadie has for Matty, which is something I've always loved, and basically Sadie said that she felt bad, so Matty's there anyway. He's not there with Kyle, which I was surprised about. You think he would have brought over Kyle, but he didn't. It seemed like they were really getting close, but there's really no touch at all of that in this episode. In fact, Matty seemed pretty normal than he has in the past 2 episodes, and kind of felt out of place, but that was kind of strange. But basically, Matty's there with Sadie and Sergio, and Tamara is going crazy. I love that they all wanted to drink beer, but she's like, oh, no, we're drinking wine, there's no beer at this party, this is not a beer pun, and it was definitely very funny to watch that, and I really enjoyed that. And Jake and Gabby then come, and Gabby's already drunk when she arrives. Jake obviously is pretty distraught, and he's excited to be there until he sees Matty. And obviously, things are not good between Jake and Matty. They really do not like the way things are going at all. They're at each other's throats, and Jake doesn't really want to be there. But Gabby, as we can tell, is drunk. It's very funny to see drunk Gabby in this episode. The only thing with drunk Gabby is it felt like something they do for Lissa. Lissa was not in this episode, and it was very strange. You would think because of one, Sadie being, Tamara being in cheerleaders, she would invite Sadie. She probably would, if she invites Sadie, she probably should have invited Lissa. Two, you would have thought that Sadie would have told Lissa to go because, that's Sadie's best friend, obviously. I just found it kind of strange that I definitely felt that Lissa was missing here. Definitely felt that way. And it seemed like they were trying to cover it up, but it seemed pretty obvious that definitely Lissa was missing here, because what Gabby does in this episode was very, very out of character. I like Gabby as a character, but this was just way too over the top. Her getting drunk and everything, it was funny, but it was way too over the top for Gabby. It definitely seemed like something that Lissa would do, and it was kind of strange that they didn't do that. So Adam's going over to Jenna. He's hyped out of his mind. Obviously, he says his engagement party, and Jenna knows that this isn't really real, and she's kind of upset at what's going on there. And Gabby is telling Jenna about what's been going on between her and Matty and everything, and that's basically what's happened there. And we realize that Tamara has made things even more awkward because she plans on inviting Brian to this party. She's now invited Brian, who Jenna's not talked to in weeks. They've had each other's number, but they haven't really done it. It's one of those things where you have their number, but you don't really know if you want to talk to them or not. And that's pretty much how things have been between Jenna and Brian. And as much as I wanted to like this felt very out of place to me, definitely. I mean, just seeing Brian again, it's like, we did this already. I knew we'd probably see him again, but they didn't do much with this in this episode. I would have wanted to see more of what happened between Jen and Brian, but there's really not much going on there. Obviously, things are very awkward between them, and Brian's trying to talk to her, and they're very, very awkward, and you can see that Brian does care for Jenna, but they don't really have that much of a bond. There's nothing really going on between them, and that was pretty interesting. So Jenna's telling Tamara this is a horrible idea, and this is not a good thing that they're doing at all. She's not happy about this, and Tamara's telling her to enjoy this and everything, and that's basically what happens there. Meanwhile, things are getting really rough between Jake and Matty, but Jake recognizes that this is really stupid and that he doesn't want to fight with Matty. He thinks this is really dumb that they're fighting, which, yeah, it is really kind of stupid and kind of pointless that they're fighting. They're really fighting for no reason, and especially when it's their senior year and they only have so many days left, it probably isn't the best thing for them to fight. So I like that Jake said, look, let's not do this. Let's try to make amends. And Matty wants to try to put things aside, but it just doesn't seem like there's much reconciliation. Now, I do think it's going to happen in the next episode, but right now, at this point, there isn't much reconciliation with that they did there. So basically, Adam and Tamara then get their engagement present, and basically there's a wish bowl, and someone's like basically spit in a napkin, and that's what they put in the wish bowl. And obviously, Tamara's grossed out. Adam's trying to keep things calm. It's as disgusting as you can imagine. And meanwhile, Jenna and Gabby is still very drunk, and she's talking to Jenna, and she talks about how Matty said that he. Oh, also, I did really love though, when Gabby said that she was there to see the heat unfold between her boyfriend and her ex-boyfriend. That I thought was very funny. That I definitely really enjoyed. I just didn't like the more crazier side of Gabby, like the more ditzier side, especially toward the end of this episode and what's happening next week. I'm not really a fan of, but basically, Gabby tells Jenna that Matty claims that he still loves her, and I was like, oh, do we really have to go through this again? I don't like the way they're handling this Matty and Jenna storyline, okay? Because we're handling it in a very mature way, and the way it was presented in this episode, I liked it, but I just wasn't really a fan of how abruptly this has all come about. You know, to me, it kind of seems like, I understand that it's like, oh, that could abruptly come about that way, but it just seemed kind of out of place for this episode, definitely. It didn't really work as well as I wanted it to, and basically, Jenna goes to Matty, who she thinks is talking about her. You know, he talks about how he misses the way they were, but he's actually talking about Jake and how he actually really does love Jake as a brother, which I thought was very sweet, and that he wants to get back to the way things are, but I think it's pretty obvious that even though Matty wants that, it's not necessarily possible. I don't really think things are ever going to be the same between Matty and Jake. I've said this before, and I stand by it. It just doesn't seem like after something like that, after that big of a downfall, it doesn't seem like they can repair this, as, you know, even though Matty really seems like he really wants to put the effort into it and really wants to repair things, it doesn't seem like they really can do much with that, so I don't see much happening there, unfortunately, which I wish I could say that, you know, I think things will go well between Matty and Jake, but I don't know. Maybe they'll reconcile, but I don't think they'll ever get back to the bond they really had, in the first 3 seasons. First 4 seasons, definitely. That's not gonna happen. So, Jenna and Tamara are then talking, and basically, Tamara tells Jenna that she now has to make a speech. She has to make a speech for Brian and Tamara, and basically, you know, Adam and Tamara, and she really has nothing to say. You know, it's very awkward for her, and she talks about how there are certain people that she, you know, really loves and that she knows really cares about her. And she's talking about Matty. I thought this was a really great scene. I definitely really like the way they handled this. But Matty doesn't seem like he really is understanding what's going on with Jenna. And the thing I don't like about this, I have to say, is that I really hope this doesn't become Jenna chasing over Matty. We have been over this for seasons and seasons. You know, season 1 had happened, and then season 2 they started dating, then season 3 they dated, and now at second half of season 3 she got over Matty, and now she's chasing after Matty. I don't like the way they're handling this. They need to handle it in a more organic way. It's not bad what they're doing. I like that they're trying, you know, that they're exploring Matty and Jenna more and where they are, basically, but I just don't really like that it's kind of back to Jenna chasing Matty. I'm really not a fan of that, and you can see that Matty is not really getting, you know, it's not really clicking into Matty's head what Jenna's talking about, which is understandable why, you know, Matty is definitely more interested in repairing things with Jake than he is with getting back together with Jenna. Well, I think he does want to be with Jenna. I don't think that's really on his mind right now. You can just tell that's not really the number one thing on his mind. So basically that happens, and Matty and Jake, you know, they're trying to repair things, and it doesn't seem like much is changing in terms of that, and, you know, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like much is happening there. But basically, then we see Sadie and Sergio is talking to Sadie in this scene, and this was really interesting. It seemed like he was actually going to propose to Sadie, but he tells her no, but he does want to marry her. He does really love her. He is serious, and I really love Sergio as a character. Like I said, he really is bringing out the best side of Sadie. He's trying to get her to be a better person, and I really like seeing this development of Sadie and Sergio, definitely. Do I think they're going to get married? I don't know, but I definitely feel they're going to be together after high school. That definitely is going to happen, so I really do see things going well for Sadie and Sergio. I really like them as a couple, I have to say. So, Jenna and Brian are talking, and not much is really going on there, and basically, Brian talks about why she isn't more happy and why she doesn't condone Tamara's wedding. You know, she's marrying his best friend while her best friend is marrying his best friend. Why doesn't she condone it? And she talks about, and she, right in the moment, she's trying to tell him, but she blurts out that Tamara never really loved Adam and that it was all just a random thing and that she never planned on it happening and that she never really loved him. She's only in love with wedding planning, and you can just see the look on Adam's face. He goes from really happy to really, really sad. You feel really bad for him, and damn, Jenna, why did you have to do that to Tamara? Seriously, after everything Tamara did, why did you have to do that? It's really sad. I understand that, Jenna wanted her to come clean, but that was not Jenna's place to do that, definitely. And I felt very bad for Tamara after that. You could see how hurt Adam was. I mean, this was very sad that had to happen. So, Tamara gets what I think is probably one of the best scenes her character has had in this episode, definitely. I really love the scene with Tamara where she's talking to Jenna, and she talks about how she's not mad at Jenna. She's mad because she's realizing in this moment that she actually did love Brian, and that she actually, she actually did love Adam, that she actually did want to be with him, and that I thought was very interesting. We saw that, but again, I really feel it's something where Tamara just wants to be with someone, and Adam is right there, and she really does want to be with him. And you can see how hurt she is and how she wants to fix things with Adam, but you don't really know if she can. And Tamara, basically Jenna's talking about how she doesn't know if things are the same between her and Matty and what's going to happen between them and why, if he really does have feelings for her and things like that. She doesn't really know what's going on between them, so that's going on. Tamara is really upset at this point, definitely over Adam. Which it's definitely too bad for them, but I don't think this is the last we've seen of Adam. I really don't. I do think we're going to see Adam again. I don't know if this half of the season, but I definitely feel he's going to come back up some point, definitely, because next episode already, Tamara's talking about how she wants to win back Adam, so I definitely see things going, I definitely do see something going on between Adam and Tamara. Without a doubt, something's happening between them. We don't know what, but something is definitely happening between those two, and they're definitely going to reconcile at some point, but basically, episode ends with Jenna talking about how she doesn't know if Matty truly does want to be with her. And then we see that Gabby is running around in her backyard without pants on. That was very strange. But that's how the episode ends. And next week is a direct continuation of this episode. It looks like Jake's going to try to fix things with Matty. He doesn't really know where Gabby went. Basically, Jenna's going to try to figure out if Matty really does still care for her. And basically, I really like this episode. I have to say, I really did like this episode. I didn't think this was the best episode by any means. I really didn't. But there were some really great things, like I said, about this episode. I don't really like the way they're handling this whole Matty Jenna situation. I'm not a huge fan of it. They could be handling it in a better way than they have. But I definitely do feel bad for Tamara. I mean, how can you not feel bad for her? She just had her heart broken. She realized she actually really did love this guy and really did want to be with him. And I'm also feeling really bad for Jake because he really wanted to get in this college, and the only reason he's upset with Matty is not because obviously the Gabby thing is awkward, but it's mainly because of the fact that he wanted this scholarship, and Matty isn't, got the scholarship over him, and that's why he's kind of upset about it. I think Jake needs to tell him, look, I'm not mad at you because of what happened with Gabby. This is not why this is awkward. This is awkward because I really wanted the scholarship, and maybe they will be able to work things out, but like I said, I don't think things will be back to the way that Matty wants them to be, which is really sad. Gabby, I was not a fan of in this episode. I did not like this drunk Gabby. It felt out of character. It felt weird, and it felt like this was meant for Lissa. She wasn't there, and I definitely not like that. Will Sergio and Sadie actually get married? Will he actually promise to marry Sadie? Do you think they actually do have a future together? I think they do. Do you think Tamara will win Adam back? I don't know. The Brian thing, I understand why Tamara did it, but it felt kind of pointless. Like, I didn't really feel like he needed to I understand that in order for Jenna to reveal what was going on with Adam and Tamara, she needed to tell Brian. But other than that, he really didn't have much of a place in this episode, really didn't do too much. And while I don't think this episode was as good as last week, it certainly was in episode 3. It was in episode 3, which was very filler and very forgettable. It was a very good episode. I still really enjoyed it. There just were a few things I'm not a huge fan of. But let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Sorry I didn't have too much to say, about this episode. There was a lot that happened. This was more of all exposition, and next week seems more like the fallout, and a lot more is going to happen next week. So I'm interested in seeing what's going to happen in the next episode. But that's it for my review. Hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for tonight's episode of Blind Spot, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.